Greetings, everyone. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey, if you notice, I didn't even ask you if you had your ticket today. Why? Because today admission is free. All right? You don't have to subscribe for this message. This message is my gift to you. Okay? So, first things first, I want to take a moment and share some quick thoughts around the mass shootings the last, well, I guess I'll say a couple of days, but really it was yesterday and then early this morning today, Sunday morning. First, express my condolences to all of those families who were affected by that situation. And, it's heartbreaking to even believe that someone would have to be confronted or faced with that type of tragic I want to say consequences for lack of a better word. I mean, what else? Maybe that's a better word, but reality, I guess that's the better word. And it's really, it's telling. It's telling in terms of the mindset, of many people today. And I say many people because, a 21-year-old and a 24-year-old. I mean, if you really think about it, what could be so overwhelming in their life that they would feel that the best way to bring resolution to whatever's got them bothered, which we know what that is based off of what we understand, a limited amount of information of what we understand. But what would have someone so obsessed with doing something like that? You follow me? Other than just a culture of hate. And that's what it is. It's there's an old saying, chickens coming home to roost. And what that simply means is that whatever you invest in people, you can almost be 100% certain, with a rare exception of exceptional people, that's what you're going to get back in return. Whatever you invest in them, typically is what you're going to get back, with a rare exception. You follow me? And what you're looking at now, where a 21-year-old will go into a Walmart store and shoot in 30 people, shoot a 30, 40 people, kill 20 people. I mean, and I heard some of his. I guess he had like a white paper. And I'm going to get past this real fast, guys. I don't want you to think I'm going to, because everybody's already talking about this. And I think that's the last thing you need to hear another guy talk 20 minutes about this situation. But it is important because there's something rotten at its core that's causing this. And I want to get that out. I want to hopefully challenge all of us to think about, the consequences of the environments that either we create or the environment that we tolerate. Either we create these environments or we're tolerating these environments. And either or, we're equally wrong, and both are destructive when it comes down to encouraging someone to think that the best way to solve their problem or their frustration is by violence. All right? Because it's not the solution. I mean, there's a time to be violent, but there's also a time not to be. And, a 21-year-old going in there killing up people in Walmart, people who are just there, just trying to do their daily shopping. I wouldn't be surprised, like myself last night, I went to Walmart to get a case of water. How tragic that would be, for the people who love me. I hope there are a few of them. I hope some of y'all love me. I know one or two of you, I suspect you do. But that I wouldn't come back home. Or you find out in the papers that something happened to me, that I was murdered because I went to Walmart. And many people are confronted with that today because somehow something went wrong with this 21-year-old. I shouldn't say somehow. We know how it went wrong with this 21-year-old. And then the same thing with the 24-year-old up in Ohio. I don't want to mess the names up, but I think the 21-year-old, I want to say his name was... guess just because I want to try to think of it. I draw a doggone blank. I know the Ohio guy, was Patrick Bates was his name. And I know the last name of the guy in Texas was Cassius or something like that. Cassius. I'm sure you guys know those names by now. But these situations, guys, these actions of these young men, it's a simple case of the hate that hate produced. And I'm gonna say it again. It's the hate that hate produced. And when you cultivate that kind of environment, you expose young people to that kind of environment, bigotry and racism, classism, create an environment where they feel like they should be preferred. When you create that type of culture of the only thing that matters is money and power and influence, then this is the backside of that. You know what I'm saying? This is the backside of it. So, when we tolerate, extremists in our environments, any kind of extremists, but in this case, white extremists in our environment, this is what happens. You follow me? This is what happens. This is the consequence of it. And, I'm sure there are many people knew these guys, these young men. So many people knew them. And most people say, well, I had no idea. Well, see, that's the problem. Because how do you know them and you have no idea? So if you knew them, then you should have had enough of a relationship with them where you were doing things to influence them, especially if you were, an elder to them. In other words, if you are, much older than them, their parents' age. I'm sure these kids have uncles and aunts and, older cousins and older neighbors and teachers and instructors. I mean, nobody saw that these guys were thinking that like that. I suspect that there are some people out there who are guilty. And they knew that these kids, or these young men, they're not children, these young men, were thinking about going on a mass murdering spree. And some people probably encouraged it, and some people probably just winked at it, and some people said, it's not my problem. And you've heard me say this, and listen to it carefully. What affects one directly affects all of us indirectly. Okay? None of us get off free. Because all the hurt and the pain that's in the world today because of what those two boys did, men again did, all that hurt and all that pain, everyone today who is aware of this situation, has to accept some of it. And what I mean by accepting, I'm not talking about accepting responsibility, but accepting that energy that was put out because of the actions of those two sick, demon-possessed men. But they didn't get that way without some assistance. Again, they did not get that way without some assistance. Someone sold them those guns. Someone taught them how to use those guns. Someone created an environment for them to use those guns. Someone was aware that they had those guns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And either they did not care or, they chose to let it happen for self-serving reasons, I suppose. And that's a major problem, guys. A major problem in America today. And it's only going to get worse. So, the bigots out there, the white supremacists out there, the white nationalists out there, all these people with this mentality that somehow or another America used to be, so great and we need to make it great again. I hope you understand what you're encouraging because, see, your words have power. Your words have life to them. Those of you who know the scripture say, whatever man speaketh in his heart, so is he. Words have power. You put these words out. These words take a life of their own, and these words will come back. And they may come back to you in ways that you had no idea. Some of these kids who you out there cultivating and allowing this bitterness, hatred of others who are not like them to exist, and somehow feeling that they're more privileged than anyone else, and therefore, if they have to suffer or have to have any type of pain, then they need to strike out and hurt. Don't be surprised if they strike out and hurt you directly. Don't be surprised. Some of these killers in times past have killed their parents too. And this is not the first incident that has happened like this with these mass killings. And people talking saying a lot of different things. Who's at fault? Did Trump have something to do with it? This guy have something to do with it? This is what I'm going to say to you. I don't know about blaming President Trump, for this stuff. Does he say irresponsible stuff? Is he a racist and a bigot? He doesn't think he is, but he is, because only a racist and bigot would say some of the things that he says. You don't insult a whole nation of people based off of their region of the world, by calling this shithole countries, and don't think that's a racist statement. You follow me? And I don't have to say all the other stupid things that this man has said. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when Trump got elected, if you didn't know, you should have known what you were getting. And if you had no idea what you were getting, now you know. Next time, do better. But right now, you're going to have to deal with the reality. That's who's in office. But again, I think Labor, and I want to be careful because I'm not putting this on Trump like many other people are. Does the rhetoric of President Trump make America great again? No, it does not. His rhetoric does just the opposite. And anybody who's buying into that rhetoric, is as guilty as he is, but what happened, yesterday and early this morning. So if you're a Trump supporter, you just understand if those young men are using that as some type of inspiration to act out, then, you're complicit. But I don't want to make this about Trump because during Obama's administration, there were 156 mass shootings. And a mass shooting is anytime 4 or more people are killed. That's called a mass shooting. During the Obama administration, those 2 terms, 156 incidents of mass shootings, over 1,000 people injured, and 850 people were killed under Obama's administration. So if we're pointing fingers, we need to point them both ways. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we have to be real careful and looking over, and saying that it's the president when it could be, your neighbor. These kids went to school with some of your kids. These kids lived in some of your communities. These kids, attended some of you all's churches. They shopped at some of the stores that some of you guys shopped, hung at the malls where some of your kids hung out at. And yet, no one seemed to care or notice that they were heading down a deadly path. And I think you would have had a lot more influence on their decision making that you cared enough to find out what they were thinking about than President Trump sitting, in D.C. or Florida or wherever the hell his ass hangs out most of the time. I doubt if it's at work. I digress. But again, this situation doesn't get better, guys, until we start, addressing these things at the root cause. And, one of the reasons I speak out and I share my thoughts, and some people say, well, you sound angry, or you sound like you're hateful. I'm not angry, I'm not hateful, and I'm not bitter. I want to speak to your conscience. I want to speak to the heart of you. That's called courage. I would hope that more of you would do it so that we can deal with these things early on and not get caught up, on the backside when the carnage and the damage and the destruction has happened. And you're never going to be able to do that if you avoid dealing with those kind of realities. Remember, as a young leader, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to end this video. I really had something different, but I'm sorry it took its own life. I remember as a young leader, just got promoted to a general manager of a big box retailer. I won't tell you the name of it, but I was just turning 30 years old at the time. And I remember the regional vice president, he said, Dale, I don't have a whole lot to tell you. DFG. I don't have a whole lot to tell you, but I just want to give you one advice. Say, whenever you have a problem, you deal with it head on. That's the only advice I have for you. If you have a problem, deal with it head on. And I think that was probably some of the best advice I had ever received. Even now, I still rank that in my top 10, pieces of advice given to me. You guys, we got to deal with these things head on, and avoiding things or pretending like these things are not in our presence. You know what I'm saying? This Pollyanna mentality, that's not dealing with things head on. What that does is give things a cover that continue to get worse. We've got to be honest, we've got to be bold, we've got to be truthful, and we've got to be willing to sit down and talk through these situations. All of them, including the reparations conversation. And until we do that, watch out. Next time it may be one of your family members shopping at Walmart. Talk to you later, guys.